This is May the 17th, 2012. My name is Wayne Ware, and this is oral history of Lillian Gholson, Lillian, Gholson, Gholson, maiden name McGill, Magill, and this oral history is on her childhood at the Williamson County Jail.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Georgetown jail, right?
That's correct.
What time period did you live in the jail?
But I can't give you the years because I don't know how old I was. I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved there. Daddy, I tell you, when Lee Allen was sheriff,
mm-hmm.
I know he was sheriff, and Mother and Daddy moved to the jail, and I wasn't in school. It was a big home. I mean, it was a big place to live in, and it was a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
Mother cooked for the prisoners, and Daddy was the jailer. Also, he was a cattle inspector at the same time during the day. But anyway, the kitchen, do you have a picture of the jail there in front of you?
I can bring it up. So I don't have a picture of the inside. I only have a picture of the outside.
Outside, okay.
In the jail itself, I don't have.
Well, as you upstairs over the kitchen was living quarters, Mother and Daddy's bedroom. Down below was the kitchen, and the kitchen connected to the other side of the jail with what we called a scuttle hole, and it was through the wall, which was you can see that the stones are very wide and big, and it was a hole in the wall that had a door on both sides, and that's where the food was passed through.
And your mom did the cooking.
And Mother did the cooking. The beans were bought. They were fed pinto beans. They were washed and soaked overnight on a wood stove, and cooked all morning, and then they were fed beans and cornbread at noon. And the beans were bought in tow sacks. I guess that would be probably a 50 or 100-pound bag. And they were measured for so much for each prisoner. And it was cooked with, I could see the slabs of fat meat or bacon or side pork or whatever you cook beans with. And that's what they had for lunch. For breakfast, I don't know, they had bacon, I think, or some kind of fat meat and bread, but they didn't have much. We didn't have very many prisoners at one time. People were clamoring to get in jail. And we had a Mexican in the jail, Manuel, that every day they told him that they were going to hang him with this, there in the jail, and they were building a scaffold to hang him with. That was the last scaffold built in Texas, in the corner of the jail where this Manuel was. Well, I was small enough that I went around, I followed my daddy everywhere. So the doctor came, and they took Manuel out and set him in a chair. And Dr. Thomas had him cross his legs, and he hit him under his knee. And whether the knee jumped or the leg jumped or didn't jump. But then I decided that whatever that was, you were crazy, because they declared him insane and didn't hang him. And he was sent to the asylum. Now, we had another prisoner that was electrocuted, and that was Mr. Leahy. He was a very nice fellow, no problems, and he was in jail quite a while. He was from South Texas, and he was wanted for murder. I don't know all the details, but I remember seeing him. And we had a women's section, which was up over the guard room. The guard room was right where you see the people going in the metal door on the jail side. They would go up some steps, and there was a metal door, and that was the guard room, and there was a bed in there, I guess, for the guard to sleep on if they had to stay there. And the women's quarters were upstairs. We didn't have very many women. Crazy people were also put in jail, and we had a crazy woman up there that she was in and out every time she'd have a spell, I guess. And then the men, the crazy people, were just put in with the other people, and oftentimes they did damage on the inside, such as tearing up plumbing or something like that. We had a chain gang. They came, I guess, on Monday morning. I don't know what morning, but I remember seeing them bring them out with their legs chained and put in a car, and they were taken to work in the ditches and culverts alongside the road. And down below, there was a cellar there by the guardroom door. Down below there was a cellar. That's where they put the stills that they raided, and you could imagine drinking some of the stuff that they made in some of the barrels that they brought in. Looked like gas, fuel barrels or just old barrels, real bad stuff. So that's where they put that. We had the building was really nice for the living quarters, and as I said, my grandfather was the first one that moved in there with his family, and my mother's sister was born there. And if you'll hold on, you caught me away from some notes. I don't have any notes here. She was born there, and I'll tell you the year, just a minute, and that's when Big Papa lived there. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Takes me a little while to get from one place to the other. But then, of course, my sister was born there. Just a minute. My Aunt Bill was born there in 1902. So that gives you an idea of when Big Papa was there. Her mother lived there, and they had a good time in the jail. They had a big family. They all played music instruments, and you want me to tell you a tale about that?
Yeah.
Well, Big Papa was very strict with his girls. See, there was several of them.
Papa was your grandfather?
Yeah. And he would, when they'd get out of sight on their horses, they all rode horses, they would ride astride. So they decided that wasn't the thing to do. It wasn't very handy, and he always wanted to ride side saddle. So my mother decided that she would split their skirts and button them up, and Big Papa wouldn't know it, and they'd ride astride. So that's what she did. She split their skirts and buttoned them up, and he didn't know they were going. As soon as they got out of sight, they unbuttoned them and got astride their horses. Well, Mr. Hoyle, who was some sort of a law official, told Big Papa, said, your girls are out riding astride on the horses. So he called my mother in and asked her about it. And so she told him. She said yes. And I was drunk when my foot caught the stirrup when I was riding side saddle. And I decided that I would just fix our skirts, and it's a whole lot safer. So he didn't have anything more to say about that, so that's what they did. But there was things like that that were always amusing to me that Mother would tell me about. And my sister was born, let's see, she was born in 1924, so we were living in the jail in 1924 when she was born, and I was in the first grade.
Uh-huh.
That gives you an idea of the time there that she was there. And I didn't even know Mother was pregnant at the time, so that's how innocent we were. And we had a large room that was my bedroom, and Daddy and Mother provided me with a bedroom suit, and we had a piano. Then Mother played the piano, and she could really play. In fact, when before she was married and she was living at the jail, she played the piano at the silent movie. They had a screen up, and she would go in and play for the silent movie. She was sort of an aggressive woman, I thought. I admired her because she also went to work at the Sun office, the paper, and go in the back door so nobody would see her. You know, women didn't work then, but she liked to do that. And we had a porch, and we had a swing on the porch. Had the stairs came down in two sections, and I never walked down the stairs or slid down the stairs, banisters. In fact, when I went back my sister and I went back after a few years ago, I couldn't imagine sliding down those banisters. I thought they were big, but they looked so small. You know, things are different when you get big, older.
That's right. Well, tell me more about your granddad. What did you hear about the last hanging, Tom Young hanging?
What did I hear about the last time? What?
Tom Young, he was hung. You considered that granddad.
Well, Big Papa hung 3 people. He hung some colored people too. And Tom Young was a very cruel man. Now, this is what I remember that Mother told me he did, that he whipped this woman, and then he drug her on the ground behind a horse. It must have been a very cruel thing.
Yeah.
And so he was put in jail, and they sentenced him to hanging, and that's what they did. They took him out and hung him. And in the letter there, I believe that I sent you, that my aunt wrote, told about how the mob came. And there was a picture there of showing some of the mob that came to the hanging of Tom Young. And that's all that I would remember about that. But I know that Big Papa hung him, and he did hang a couple of colored men.
So your dad, was they elected, or did you just get appointed, or how'd that work?
They were all elected, I guess. Daddy was worked under Big Papa. In fact, that picture, I think you have a picture. Do you have a picture there of the hanging?
No, I haven't opened all that up yet. I was just
right
here looking at it.
Daddy's in that picture, and Tom Russell, and Big Papa, and I can't remember now who else would be in that picture. And that was quite a deal. People came from everywhere for that. It was big, lots of people.
Well, where did the hangings take place?
I don't know.
You never saw
I guess
that?
right there around Georgetown somewhere.
Well, reading the article in the Sun, they hung him out there at what they call the poor folks farm.
Yeah, that was the poor folks farm. Let's see, I don't know which direction. That was where you buried people who didn't have anybody, you know. There was a poor folks farm.
I think it was out towards
Taylor?
somewhere out in that area, but
I think it would be out in that area, but I don't know where. I've never seen it. I wasn't familiar with it. I did know that there was a place where people went that didn't have any place to bury them.
So your dad's name was Wayne?
Wayne McGill, W-A-Y-N-E McGill.
How long was he the jailer there?
Oh, let's see. I don't know, because he worked with Big Papa. That was before my mother and them married. And then after, I really don't know, for a long time.
Well, you said you were in probably 5 or 6 when you lived there. When?
Oh yeah,
Did you
probably might have been 4 or 5.
So when did you guys move out of there?
When did we leave out of there? Well, Lee Allen was sheriff, Louis Lowe was sheriff. So through those times, I know we lived there. That they, but after, you know, your sheriffs are reelected. Are they elected for 4 years?
I can't remember now.
Well, whatever the tenure was. And then I guess, I don't know who was after Louis Lowe, and that's probably when he wasn't jailer anymore. Somebody else had somebody as a jailer. And that's when he became city marshal. Sometime during that time.
Oh, so your dad became the city marshal?
Yeah, he was city marshal when he was killed. He was one of the first killed in Williamson County on the line of duty. And you'll see all of that in the sheriff's office, I guess. That's when we went to Georgetown, and he was honored, and he's on a monument at Austin, and he's also at Washington. And I don't know what, and I know there's a brick there at the courthouse for him. Now they redid the courthouse, and this is what I don't understand. They didn't put the sheriff's office back in it.
No, they made a new jail or whatever over there. That's when they all moved over there.
Well, the sheriff's office should have been put back in there. That's if they were doing it like it used to be. And I have a picture, but I didn't send it. I didn't know whether you'd want it or not, of the sheriff's office with Tom Russell and Daddy and some other men in there, and then the pictures of the sheriffs. Do you know where those pictures are now?
Well, we have all of the sheriffs online, the pictures of them.
Where are they located?
On the website.
No, but I mean, where are they located in Georgetown?
The sheriffs, all the sheriffs are over there in the new
building, and those pictures are over there?
Yes,
I see. Well, I didn't know where they placed them. See, they used to be in the courthouse.
Yeah. Well, what we did is we took them all. One of the other commission members and I had the digital camera, and he knew how to do the framing. So we took them all off the wall there and photographed them and put them back together with acid-free paper and rehung them.
I see.
So we have all the sheriffs online and a digital picture because they weren't digitized at the time. If they ever had a fire or whatever, they would have lost them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who came after Lee Allen. Yes, I do. Louis Lowe, and I don't know who came after Louis Lowe. Louis Lowe was a native of Taylor, Texas.
Right.
And his wife and sister were not received very welcomely in Georgetown because they were Catholic.
Oh, okay.
And so finally they did move to Georgetown, and she and her sister negotiated or helped build a Catholic church.
Well, the time that you were there, was the Ku Klux Klan active?
Yes, I was. We were living at the jail when the Ku Klux Klan was there. Lee Allen was sheriff, and they were going to tar and feather a fellow by the name of Burleson, and Daddy and the sheriff took him to Austin, secreted him out so nobody would see him. So they started coming in late that afternoon, and Mother and I watched them. We were upstairs in one of the rooms and watched them come across the bridges, all in Northtown. They were coming just as fast as they could make the automobiles come, and parked all around, and they were in their robes and hoods. And several came up to the door and knocked on the door, and Mother went to the door. And I was small enough, I was clinging to her skirt. We were scared to death.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know if the jailer was there, and she said no. And they wanted to know if she knew where he was. She said no, she didn't, because he didn't tell her where he was going. But he did give her the key. And she'd taken it upstairs to their bedroom and put it in the quilt box. But they did not ask her if she had a key. Now, my mother would never tell a lie. If they had asked her, she'd have told them, I guess. But anyway, so that some of them went around and talked to the prisoners that were in jail, and they told them that the man was not there, that he had been taken out. So they finally dispensed. But it was a very scary detail of Ku Klux Klans, and I was scared to death.
So that was
I was
mid-20s, early?
Sir?
What time? That was like the mid-1920s?
Yes, I was not in school,
okay.
I'm sure. Because I wouldn't be clinging to Mama's skirt if I was in school, I don't think.
You said your sister was born in 1924, and then you said you used to take your sister in a doll buggy and take her.
Oh, yes, I took her in the buggy. Mama, she was 3 months old. Mama let me take the buggy, and that baby all around the square. So I stopped at every store and showed her my little sister.
So that must have happened around 1924, 25 then.
Well, I would have been, I was in the first grade when she was born.
Okay.
I was in the first grade when she was born, so I didn't know I was going to have a baby sister. And so I stopped by my aunt's house after school, and she said, "You can't go home now," and no one ever told me I couldn't go home. And I was pretty upset, and she said, "You can't go home." So I said, "Yes, I was." She said, "No, your daddy's going to come after you." So Daddy came after me, and on the way home, he told me I had a baby sister. And when I saw her, well, she was my doll from then on. She was a beautiful baby. And
so that Ku Klux Klan then must have been early 1920s then.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was. It would be before the flood, wouldn't it?
Could have, because you said you were.
Because I went to Taylor during the flood to have my tonsils out to start school.
So that must have been around 1920 then, when the Ku Klux Klan came into this guy then.
Well, now, yes, it'd be during Lee Allen's tenure of sheriff. And I don't know when that would be. I have nothing to give me a date. You know, I have nothing here that would give me a date for that.
But Leanne, he was the sheriff at that point then?
Yes, Lee Allen was sheriff during that time. That the Ku Klux Klan came to the jail.
Yeah, and we can figure out the time frame from that, but it kind of sounds like it had been in 1920, 1921.
Yeah, it was in that time, I'm sure.
Very interesting.
And, of course, that was known as Jail Hill. And we had a lot of fun. They had circuses and carnivals across the street. And my cousins would come, and after they move out, we'd go over and pick up money. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get 50 cents. Real lucky if you found $1 worth of change. But that was a whole lot of money then.
Yeah, back in those days for you kids.
Yeah, and I know my cousin and I, there was only 3 months difference in our age, so we were together all the time. We had been to visit I don't know where we'd been, but Mama told us not to stop at the park, which we did. And then we came on downtown, and we looked in the window at Mr. Brady's place. There was little boxes, looked like little suitcases that had candy in them.
Uh-huh.
So we decided we'd like to have one, and we didn't have any money. And I said, oh, well, we'll just charge it. So we went in and got one, and I said, charge it. So on the way home, we didn't know what we were going to do with that candy because we realized then we had done something wrong.
You're going to get in trouble.
So anyway, we took it home and hid it in that same quilt box where Mama had hid that key. We slipped that in, and then we never did get a piece of that candy. So then one day we heard her holler, Lillian Rachel, how's it? Get in here. And she said, what is this? And we said, well, it was candy. Where did we get it? How did we get it? Well, the worst thing I ever had to do, she wanted to know how much it cost. We told her it was 25 cents. And we charged it. So we had to take 25 cents to go back to the store and give it to Mr. Brady. And that's the worst thing I ever did, and I guess I never charged anything since. I've never charged anything in my life since then.
You knew you were in trouble when your mother used all your names.
Oh, yes, we were in trouble. And then, of course, we all played Indian. That was the thing. The Indian stories were the thing during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we rode stick horses, and I have a picture of my cousin and Mr. Sharp, John Sharp, the editor's son, and my cousin and myself on our stick horses, barefooted. And I sent it in to some magazine that did old things. I thought sure they'd take it, but they didn't. But I thought not very many people remembered stick horses, and those stick horses are very important.
That's right. Yeah, you don't see those anymore.
No, you don't see all. We had the stilts. I guess Daddy made the stilts of boards, you know, the thing that you get on and you walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever walk on stilts?
No. Oh, stilts, yes.
Stilts.
Oh, yeah, we've made those when we find the lumber.
Oh, yeah. And then we played jacks.
Uh-huh.
Jacks. And we played a lot of games like Red Rover, let somebody come over and drop the handkerchief and all those kind of things. Those were.
Did you have sidewalks where you could mark off and do the skipping thing?
No, that was later. That was a later time that we had sidewalks. There wasn't any sidewalks around the jail.
How about downtown?
Yeah, there was sidewalks around the square.
Was the square, but did they have all, was the roads covered there?
The time I went to town, they were, I guess, paved. Okay. I don't remember them being dirt. Okay. But now, Mama and her sisters all talked about the mud and the ruts and the boards that they had to walk on. And my aunt's letter will tell you something about that. When you get to it, you'll have a letter there, or it's a notation that my aunt filled out for me of history. I've always been interested all my life and tried to gather as much stuff as I could. For what, I didn't know, but I guess I'm a gatherer. But
well, let me stop here and turn off the digital recorder, and then let's talk a little bit about